Alright, so the new rims are put on. I think that makes a big difference in how it looks, eh? It's gonna be nice to have everything shiny. You know, it's just a little bit of a taste of what's to come, you know? Get that done. I pulled the headlights down so I can polish the shroud a bit easier. I don't know, maybe I should just go for a bumper mounted headlights, do you think? Maybe not. I found some paint that's just an exact match to what I have. Like exact, so I decided to redo this fender. It had a lot of damage on it. You can see here the way those little bumps are. It had a lot of those, and in fact a lot of the bubbles had popped. So it was just green paint underneath because the truck was originally emerald green. So I sanded it down. This painting is just kind of a touch-up job. I'm not getting too crazy about it. Someday I'll probably get the truck painted, but it looked horrible the way it was, so this is just my excuse to try it out. Here you can see a lot of green. I basically took this whole fender down to green or lower, and then I'm fixing up the lip of this fender a bit. Put a little body filler in there. Took this light off. It needs a wee bit in here. Yeah. So I just put a slight dusting of primer on. I'm gonna go figure out where I need to put a little bit of body filler in to smooth this out, and then tape everything up and give it a good painting. All right, this is the end result here. Well, not quite the end result. I still need to clear coat it, and I might sand it down a wee bit, put another coat on. Kind of ran into an issue here. You can see even after it was totally primed, the transitions between the different layers, the paint here is actually kind of wrinkling. It's not noticeable from if you stand back very much, but it's kind of frustrating. And I need to clean up this edge here. I kind of got under the tape here. I wrinkled the tape to get it to follow the contour of the fender, and had a bit of a gap there. So I'm gonna have to fade this in right in the little edge there. Color-wise, it actually looks really good. It's a GM paint. I forget what the number is, but it's called Dark Blue Metallic. And it isn't perfect, but it's as good as I expected. I'm guessing in the video it's going to look fairly much like a match, but it's not quite. If you look at both fenders, you can see there's a bit of a difference. But fenders are one thing you can kind of get away with, because once you have the headlight in front of here, it kind of distracts from it. You can't actually see much fender. And from the side, it looks pretty good too. So I'm not worried for you know, fixing the mess that it was before. I'm not sure if I ever showed it on the video, but there was the back, kind of this section of the fender was basically green. So yeah, this looks much better than that, and it didn't cost much to fix that. I did a little bit of work on the bottom of this air cleaner. It was getting kind of rotten, so I patched that up and painted it. And then you'll see at the back of the cab here, this is kind of my temporary fix. That's just some body filler in there. I need to sand that down yet. I just have that on. It's not going to be perfect when it's done, but it'll be a whole lot better than having it dented in like it was. So until I get that panel replaced, then I'm quite happy to live with that. So a lot of little cosmetic things. The rims make it look way better. I can't wait to get the drives on and new rear fenders, and then once I get the tanks mounted on there, yeah, it's gonna look great. But you know, it all takes time and money, so it'll come along little by bit, you know. I should say bit by bit. Little by little's already been copyrighted. Oh yeah. Got a lot of parts coming here, to some chromies for the inside and the mud or license plate hanger, switch extensions, little things like that. Chrome for the bottom end of the dash, for the heater core. That area, that'll all be stainless here. So can't wait for that to show up. See if Peterbilt has my air valve for the windshield washer fluid. I called them and they said they'd call back. It's been several days, so I emailed and I haven't heard anything, so it'll probably be a situation where you have to go down and get it, because it's not really a common part, and I mean, a lot of guys that work there, this truck's older than them, so they won't be running into this part a lot, you know. Nowadays, a lot of the stuff's fleet, and they just want your serial number, and, you know, they just want to know the serial number and the part number. Can't really explain what the thing is. That's not how the computer systems work, and they won't be familiar with it if it's an old thing, so. That's just how it goes. It's the headache of owning something old, but hey. So that's probably it for tonight. I was thinking about polishing my surround here, but now with the wet paint over on that other fender, I don't want to start slinging stuff around here, so I reckon we'll be calling it a day. Alright, so the wiring on this thing's always been a bit of a mess. It might not quite look like it anymore. I pulled probably 6 or 7 wires out of each side that were cut off, so no longer really doing anything. This side I haven't worked on very much, other than pulling off the unused wires and finding out how stuff works. There's hot signal wires down here, but I don't have any signal lights on the fenders, and as far as I can tell, they never have been. Either that or they patched the fiberglass really good when they took them off. This side I'm done cleaning up. It was just a lot of wires getting worn in these grommets where they go through the fender, because everything has to come back around and ground out to the hinge here. So there was a lot of just patched in wiring, and also wiring like this, which is not a shrink connector, so that's really bad to have inside a wheel well like this, because when it rains and snows, your harness here is getting plastered, and this ledge here is going to fit full of mud and snow. So you really want to keep this section of the harness. You don't want to patch into the harness anywhere in here. You want to keep that completely solid. So things like this, which is just not a heat shrink connector. The other thing is that this was over a 7/16 nut, which this would literally slide over the nut, so it had to be pulled over and pinched. Just, you know, not quite using the right thing. So I've got a lot of that figured out. This fender, I've actually stripped down again. I figured out what my problem was. The original emerald paint here, wherever I ran over it with the sander, it turned to glue, and it never would dry again. It was just like sticky snot. So I ran over it with a scraper, and I found all the spots that had turned to sticky. And now I have to sand this all back down again. Now I've got a whole bunch of extra layers of paint on, so that's a mess. But I gotta fix that. And then I went to the store and got paint, and I got the wrong color. So I couldn't find the stuff that I had before, and this stuff was in the same spot with the same name, GM Dark Blue Metallic, but it's a different version of it. It's way, way bluer than what this is. So now I have to figure out how to track down that other paint code. I'm glad I took pictures of stuff and kept the caps, just so I know exactly what it was. Also, I'm in the middle of polishing. I've got all my buffer stuff done. So now I have to go over it with the hand polishing. You can see here, there's a bit of sander marks left in it yet. I need to buff those out in here. But this rad cap cover came out really good. Looks pretty sharp now. So, yep. So far, that's what I've got done.